The round door opened slowly with a deep grinding sound. Dust fell from its edges as it moved for the first time in 200 years. Taiwan, Yuna, and Junho stood frozen, watching in disbelief. "This is not possible," whispered Junho. All 6 of his eyes were wide open, staring at the door. Human technology should not still be working. A beam of blue light shot out from above the door, scanning each of them from head to toe. Taiwan felt a slight tingling as the light passed over his body. "Scan complete," said a calm female voice. From inside the doorway. "3 non-human entities detected. State your purpose." The 3 scientists looked at each other in shock. Not only was the building system still working, but it could also speak and recognize they weren't human. We are scientists," Taiwan said after a moment of silence. His voice shook slightly. "We are from the Galactic Scientific Alliance. We are studying Earth's history." There was a pause. The blue light stayed on, pointing at them. "Information processed," the voice finally replied. "Visitors from off-world identified. Access level restricted. Emergency protocol 7B activated." More lights began to turn on inside the doorway, revealing a clean, white hallway. It looked nothing like the dusty ruins outside. The hallway was spotless, as if it had been cleaned that very day. "This can't be right," said Junho, backing away. "The humans died out. Their technology failed. That's what all our research shows." Yuna stepped closer to the doorway, looking inside with wonder in her golden eyes. "What if our research is wrong? What if humans didn't all die?" Before anyone could answer, a small, floating robot came out of the hallway. It was round and silver, about the size of a human head. It hovered in the air in front of them. "Greetings, visitors," the robot said in a friendly voice. "I am Guide Unit 8 to 12. I have been activated to assist you. Please follow me for a brief introduction to Facility 23. Taiwan couldn't believe what he was seeing. This technology was far more advanced than what humans were supposed to have had 2 centuries ago. "Should we follow it?" he asked, looking at his companions. Junho shook his head. "This is against protocol. We need to report to Director Krell immediately." But Yuna was already stepping through the doorway. "This is the biggest discovery in the history of our mission. We can't just walk away." After a moment of hesitation, Taiwan followed her. He couldn't resist the chance to learn more. Junho muttered something about reckless behavior, but followed them anyway. The floating robot led them down the white hallway. The air inside was clean and cool, not dusty like outside. The walls were smooth and gave off a soft white light. Facility 23 was constructed in the year 2153, the robot explained as they walked. It is one of 218 primary facilities built worldwide during the preparation phase. "Preparation phase?" asked Yuna. "What were humans preparing for?" The robot turned to look at her. "That information is restricted to level 2 access or higher. Your current access level is visitor, restricted." They came to a large room with a round table in the center. On the walls were screens showing maps of Earth and the solar system. Some of the screens showed pictures of what looked like large underground cities. "Please be seated," said the robot. "A brief orientation will begin shortly." The 3 scientists sat down carefully at the table. The chairs were made for humans but were comfortable enough for their alien bodies. "I don't like this," said Junho, quietly. "This technology is too advanced. The Alliance's records must be wrong. Or deliberately misleading," suggested Yuna. One of the wall screens lit up, showing the face of a human woman. She had dark hair and serious eyes. "Greetings, visitors," she said. "I am Dr. Sujin Kang, Director of Global Preparation Initiative. If you are viewing this message, it means our systems have detected non-human intelligent life forms investigating Earth." Taiwan leaned forward in his chair. This was a recording of a real human made 2 centuries ago. "By now," the recording continued, "you may believe that humanity has gone extinct, that Earth is a dead world, filled only with ruins and memories. This is not the complete truth. The screen changed to show images of huge underground structures being built. In the year 2147, our deep space monitoring stations detected signals from multiple alien civilizations. We realized we were not alone in the universe, but we also realized we were far behind in technology and development. The three scientists glanced at each other. Humans had known about aliens. The Alliance had always believed that humans never discovered other intelligent life. We faced a choice, Dr. Kang continued. We could announce ourselves to the galaxy and risk becoming a primitive curiosity, perhaps even a subject race. Or we could buy time to develop on our own terms. The screen showed images of humans working together, building enormous underground cities. We chose the second option. Operation Chrysalis began in 2150. We created the appearance of a global disaster that would make other civilizations believe humanity had destroyed itself. Meanwhile, the majority of our population relocated to underground facilities like this one. Junho stood up suddenly. This is absurd. Humans couldn't have fooled the entire Alliance. But the recording continued calmly. As you explore our ruins, Gaos, you are actually seeing carefully constructed facades. The real Earth thrives beneath your feet. The table in front of them suddenly lit up, showing a 3D map of a vast underground network spreading beneath the ruined city. Living areas, farms, factories, and research centers were all there, hidden underground. For 200 years, we have lived and worked below the surface, developing our technology, expanding our knowledge, and preparing to join the galactic community, not as inferiors, but as equals. Tae-Wan felt a chill run down his spine. If this was true, it was the greatest deception in the history of the Alliance. The systems you have activated are part of Phase 3, Emergence. Your discovery has triggered the final step in our plan. As if on cue, they felt a slight tremor beneath their feet. What's happening? Asked Tae-Wan, standing up. The robot guide answered. Awakening sequence initiated. Global network activation in progress. Outside the building, they heard a low rumbling sound. The ground began to shake more strongly. We should leave, said Junho urgently. Now, they ran back down the hallway toward the exit. When they reached the circular door, they rushed outside and turned to look back at the city. All across the ruins, lights were coming on. Buildings that had seemed dead and broken were now glowing with energy. The ground was rumbling and shifting as hidden doors and panels began to open. In the distance, a massive section of ground slid open, revealing a huge metal platform rising from below. On it was what looked like a spacecraft, sleek, silver, and unlike any human technology the Alliance had documented. Director Krell needs to know about this immediately, said Junho, his voice shaking. Tae-Wan couldn't look away from the awakening city. Lights were spreading like a wave across the ruins, turning the dead landscape into something alive and active. I don't think humanity went extinct at all, said Yuna softly. They've been here all along, watching and waiting. As they stood there, more platforms began to rise from the ground all across the city. More ships, more buildings, more technology. That should not have existed. Their communicators suddenly came to life with urgent messages from other research teams around the planet. The same thing was happening everywhere, in every ruined city, in every country. Earth was waking up. And the three scientists realized that everything they thought they knew about humans was wrong. The dead civilization they had come to study was very much alive and about to change the galaxy forever. The sun was setting over the ruins of what was once called New York City. The sky was orange and red, a beautiful sight above the broken buildings. Dr. Tae-Wan Kim stood on a hill of rubble. He fixed the seal on his protective suit and took a deep breath of filtered air. What a waste, he said to himself. His voice echoed inside his helmet. Earth lay before him, empty and quiet. Once, billions of humans lived here. Now, after 200 years, only dust and broken buildings remained. At least that's what everyone believed. Tae-Wan was not human. He came from a planet 30 light-years away. His skin was pale blue and he had 4 fingers on each hand. He was part of the Galactic Scientific Alliance, a group of advanced alien Races who studied the universe together. Taiwan, come look at this. The voice of Dr. Yuna Park came through his helmet radio. Yuna was his research partner. Her species looked almost human, except for the small ridges on her forehead and her golden eyes. Taiwan carefully walked down the hill, stepping over broken concrete and twisted metal. He found Yuna kneeling beside a half-buried wall. She was brushing away dirt with her gloved hands. More primitive human construction, she said, pointing to the exposed wall. They only used concrete and steel. No wonder it fell apart so easily. The alien scientists had arrived on Earth 3 months ago. They built a research base on the moon first, then sent teams to Earth's surface. Their job was to study how humans lived and why they died out before they could travel to other stars. Taiwan checked his data tablet. We've mapped 16 square kilometers today. Director Krell will be happy with our progress. Yuna stood up and pointed to a large building in the distance. Unlike the ruins around it, this structure seemed mostly intact. Its walls were still standing, and its shape was different from the others. Let's check that one before we go back to base, she said. They walked carefully across the broken city. The setting sun cast long shadows between the ruins. Small dust clouds rose with each step they took. I never understood why humans built everything above ground, said Taiwan. On my world, we build downward, where it's safer from storms. They were not very practical, agreed Yuna, but they did create some interesting art and music. As they got closer to the strange building, they saw it was round, like a huge drum. Most of the buildings in the city were square or rectangular, but this one was different. Its walls were made of a dark material that didn't look like concrete. What do you think this was? Asked Taiwan. Yuna studied the structure. Maybe a special government building or some kind of water storage? They walked around the base of the round building. On one side, they found a large circular door, sealed shut. Next to the door were strange markings that looked like writing. Taiwan tried to scan the markings with his translator device. That's odd. The translator can't read these symbols. Maybe it's a different language than the standard human English we've been studying, suggested Yuna. Just then, they heard the sound of heavy footsteps behind them. Dr. Junho Lee, the senior researcher of their team, was approaching. Dr. Lee was an Arcturian, a species known for their high intelligence and 6-fingered hands. He was also known for looking down on other species, especially extinct ones like humans. Found another pile of rubble, have you? Junho's deep voice came through their radio. His 6 eyes blinked in a wave-like pattern, showing his boredom. This building is different, said Yuna. It's better preserved than the others. Junho walked closer, his tall form towering over both of them. Different or not, it's still primitive. These humans barely learned how to build computers before they killed themselves off. Taiwan didn't like Junho's attitude. We still have a lot to learn about them. We've only been studying Earth for 3 months. The Alliance has studied 17 extinct civilizations, Junho said with a wave of his 6-fingered hand. They all follow the same pattern. They develop technology, use it unwisely, and destroy themselves. Humans were especially foolish. They poisoned their air, water, and soil. Yuna touched the circular door. But they also created beautiful things. Their music, their stories, simple entertainments, interrupted Junho. Nothing of real value to the galaxy. That's why the Alliance didn't bother to contact them before they died out. They weren't ready. While Yuna and Junho argued, Taiwan examined the area around the door more carefully. He noticed something half buried in the dust. It was a small flat panel next to the door. Curious, he knelt down and brushed away the dirt with his glove. The panel was smooth, made of a material he didn't recognize. As the last of the dust was wiped away, something unexpected happened. The panel began to glow with a soft blue light. Yuna! Junho, look at this! Taiwan called out, jumping back in surprise. The other scientists rushed over. The blue light grew stronger, forming patterns on the panel's surface. Impossible, whispered Junho, all 6 of his eyes wide with shock. This building is at least 200 years old. No power source should still be working. Maybe it's some kind of emergency system, suggested Yuna, leaning closer to the glowing panel. Taewan's heart was beating fast with excitement. Whatever it is, it shouldn't be working. Not after all this time. The blue light formed into shapes that looked like buttons. Strange symbols appeared above them. Should we press one? Asked Taewan. Junho backed away. Absolutely not. We should report this to Director Krell first. This goes against everything we know about human technology, but Yuna was already reaching toward the panel. This could be our biggest discovery. Yet. Don't you want to know what it does? Yuna, wait. Taewan started to say. Her gloved finger touched one of the glowing buttons. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a faint humming sound began to come from inside the round building. The sound grew louder. What did you do? Junho demanded, backing away further. The humming changed to a mechanical whirring. Then to everyone's amazement, words appeared on the panel in glowing letters. Identity verification required. It's asking for identification, said Taewan in disbelief. That's not possible, said Junho, his voice shaking slightly. Humans didn't have this level of technology. Their computers were primitive. Their AI systems were basic. Yuna was staring at the panel with wide eyes. What if we were wrong? What if humans were more advanced than we thought? As they watched, a small section of the panel slid open, revealing what looked like a hand scanner. Place hand for DNA verification, the words changed. The three alien scientists looked at each other in stunned silence. This went against everything the Alliance knew about human civilization. Should one of us try? Asked Taewan. Before anyone could answer, the ground beneath their feet trembled slightly. It was a small vibration, but they all felt it. What was that? Yuna looked down at the ground. Then another tremor, stronger this time. Perhaps we should return to our shuttle, suggested Junho, his earlier arrogance replaced by concern. But Taewan was too curious to leave. Something is happening. The building is doing something. As if responding to his words, the circular door made a loud clicking sound. After 2 centuries of silence, the mechanisms inside were coming to life. Stand back, ordered Junho. The 3 scientists moved away from the door. The humming grew louder, and the blue light spread from the panel to the edges of the door. There was a hiss of air, and a cloud of dust billowed out as the massive door began to move. It was opening. This changes everything, whispered Taewan, as they stared into the darkness beyond the door. What they couldn't know yet was just how right he was. The truth about humanity was about to rewrite galactic history. The research base on the moon erupted into chaos as reports flooded in from expedition teams worldwide. Cities were lighting up across Earth's surface. New York, London, Tokyo, Sydney. Places long considered dead were suddenly pulsing with energy. Director Hansol Krell paced the command center, his reptilian features tight with concern. As the Galactic Alliance's foremost xenoanthropologist, he had built his reputation on his comprehensive analysis of humanity's self-destruction. Impossible, he muttered, watching live feeds from Earth. Their power infrastructure was destroyed. During the resource wars, Dr. Sungmin Park, the expedition's chief engineer, studied the incoming data. These energy signatures don't match any known human technology from our historical records. They're too efficient. On the main screen, Taewan's team reported from the structure they had discovered. The building is some kind of access point, Taewan explained, his voice crackling with static. We've been granted limited entry to a foyer area, but deeper access is restricted. What have you found? Demanded Krell. The camera panned to show Yuna standing beside a glass display case. Inside was a simple metal plaque with an inscription. It reads, Phase 1 Contingency Shelter. Capacity, 50,000. Activation date, March 15th, 2157, she translated. Junho appeared on screen, his earlier arrogance notably diminished. Director, we've discovered similar facilities across this region. Our preliminary estimates suggest there could be hundreds worldwide. Krell sank into his chair. Are you telling me humans built underground shelters capable of housing millions, without our detection? That's not all. continued Taewan. The AI system managing this facility mentioned something called the Ascension Protocol. It seems to be in the final stages of completion. As they spoke, a new alert sounded. Sungmin's scales paled as he checked the readings. Director, we're detecting massive energy surges underground. Something is rising to the surface. On monitors across the base, they watched as sections of Earth's crust began to shift. In deserts, oceans, and mountain ranges, enormous structures were emerging, not with the violence of natural disasters, but with the precision of carefully engineered mechanisms. "Get me a visual," ordered Krell. When the images appeared, the command center fell silent. Rising from beneath the Pacific Ocean was a colossal structure, sleek and silver, its design unlike anything in their records of human architecture. Similar structures were appearing on every continent. "Those aren't bunkers," whispered Sungmin. "They're launch platforms." As if responding to his words, the mechanical voice from the bunker suddenly broadcast through all their communication channels. "Attention extraterrestrial observers. The Ascension Protocol has entered its final phase. After 2 centuries of preparation, humanity is ready to join the stars." The message repeated in hundreds of languages, including several used by the Galactic Alliance. Krell's communicator chimed with an urgent message from Alliance headquarters. Unknown vessels detected leaving Earth's atmosphere, numbers increasing exponentially. Return to headquarters immediately. The director stared at the screen, watching as the first human ships rose toward the stars, elegant and powerful. "They weren't extinct," he said quietly. "They were preparing." 1 week after Earth's awakening, the Great Hall of the Galactic Alliance was filled with nervous energy. Representatives from all 17 member species had gathered for an emergency meeting. News about the human revelation had spread across the galaxy, causing fear and wonder. Taewan, Yuna, and Junho sat on a raised platform at the front of the hall. As the first scientists to discover the truth about humans, they were now important witnesses. Taewan had never seen so many important people in one place. His hands shook slightly as he checked his notes. "Are you ready?" Yuna whispered to him. She looked calm, but he could see worry in her golden eyes. "Not really," he admitted. "Everything we're about to tell them goes against 200 years of Alliance knowledge." Director Krell entered the hall, followed by the Alliance High Council. 7 leaders representing the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy. Everyone stood as they took their seats at the center table. High Counselor Jin Woo-ra raised his crystalline hand for silence. His body shimmered with inner light as he spoke, his voice deep and clear. "This emergency session will now begin. We face an unprecedented situation." He turned to look at the 3 scientists. "Dr. Kim, Dr. Park, Dr. Lee, you will present your findings about the human deception." Taewan walked to the speaker's platform, feeling the eyes of hundreds of aliens on him. He took a deep breath. "Honored Council, fellow scientists," he began. "1 week ago, our research team discovered that humans are not extinct. They never were." A screen behind him showed images of the awakening Earth. Vast underground cities emerging, ships rising into the sky, hidden technology coming to life across the planet. For 200 years, humans have lived below the surface of their planet. They created a false story of their own destruction while developing their civilization in secret. Murmurs filled the hall. Many representatives looked shocked or angry. Yuna joined Taewan at the platform. "The ruins we have been studying were carefully designed facades. What we thought were primitive structures were actually the outer shells of a vast underground network." She showed more images, the clean advanced facilities beneath the fake ruins, the technology that was far more sophisticated than what humans were supposed to have had. While we believed humans had destroyed themselves, through war and environmental damage, they were actually building a new society, one that could eventually join the galactic community as equals. High Counselor Minji, the oldest member of the council, leaned forward. Her skin was like tree bark, and her eyes held the wisdom of 900 years of life. "Why?" she asked, simply. "Why would humans go to such lengths to deceive us? Why pretend to be extinct?" This time, Junho stepped forward to answer. The normally arrogant Arcturian seemed humbled now. They were afraid, he said quietly. Our team has translated more of their records from Facility 23. 200 years ago, human deep space monitoring stations detected signals from our worlds. They learned they were not alone in the universe. He paused, looking uncomfortable. They also observed how the Alliance treated other young civilizations. They saw what happened to the Proxima species and the Tau Ceti civilization. Both were classified as developing races and placed under Alliance protection and guidance. An uncomfortable silence fell over the hall. Everyone knew what that meant. Those species had essentially become client states of the Alliance, developing along paths chosen for them by the more advanced races. Humans decided they wanted a different future, Junho continued. They created an elaborate plan called Operation Chrysalis. Most of their population moved underground while their governments worked together to make it look like their civilization had collapsed. Taiwan showed a new image on the screen, a human vessel now in orbit around Earth. Its design was unlike anything in Alliance records. This is one of their ships, he explained. Our initial analysis shows technology far beyond what we thought humans capable of. Their energy systems, propulsion methods, and material science have developed in directions completely different from Alliance standards. Are they hostile? Asked another council member, a reptilian being from a distant star, System. Is this a threat? No, said Yuna firmly. In all our interactions, humans have been peaceful. They have made no threats or aggressive moves. Their message has been consistent. They wish to join the galactic community as equals, not as a subject. Species. High Counselor Jin Wu's crystal body flashed with colors that showed his concern. Have they made any specific demands? Only one, replied Taiwan. They request a formal meeting with Alliance representatives here, in this chamber. They wish to establish diplomatic relations. The hall erupted in noisy discussion. Some representatives seemed frightened, others curious, many angry at being deceived. Silence, commanded Jin Wu. When the noise died down, he turned to the three scientists again. How advanced are they truly? Compare their technology to our standards. Junho answered, his 6 eyes blinking nervously. In some areas they appear to be behind us. In others, particularly energy generation and certain aspects of computer science, they may be ahead. They developed in isolation, which led to unique solutions. And their military capabilities? Asked the reptilian counselor. Unknown, admitted Taiwan. They have shown us only civilian technology so far, but the speed and coordination of their emergence suggests significant capabilities. As the council debated what to do, the great doors at the end of the hall suddenly opened. A group of 5 humans entered, walking calmly down the central aisle. They wore simple but elegant clothing that seemed to shimmer with embedded technology. The hall fell silent as the humans approached the council table. Their leader, a woman with a calm face and confident walk, stepped forward. I am Admiral Ji-hyun Kim of the Earth Unity Command, she said in perfect Alliance standard language. Her voice was strong and clear in the silent hall. Thank you for allowing us to address this council. No one had invited them, Taiwan realized. Somehow they had known about this meeting and had arrived at exactly the right moment. 2 centuries ago, humanity faced a choice, Admiral Ji-hyun continued. We could announce ourselves to the galaxy as a young developing species. Or we could wait, develop on our own terms, and emerge when we were ready to stand as equals. She looked around the hall, meeting the eyes of various representatives. We chose the second path. For 200 years we have watched your alliance expand across the stars. We've studied your languages, your cultures, your technologies, your politics. We've seen how younger species are often guided into roles that serve the interests of more established powers. High Counselor Jin Wu's colors flashed in what might have been embarrassment or anger. You had no right to spy on Alliance affairs. Ji-hyun smiled slightly. We observed what was happening in the galaxy around us, just as your probes observed Earth. The difference is that we saw and understood what those observations meant for our future. She gestured to her companions, who stepped forward. Humanity is ready to join the galactic community. But we will join as equals, not as subjects or protected species. We have our own ideas, our own technologies, our own path. One of the other, Humans touched a small device on his wrist. Above the council table, a hologram appeared showing dozens of human ships in orbit around Earth. "We come in peace and friendship," said Ji-hyun. "We offer trade, cultural exchange, and scientific cooperation, but we also come with a message. The galaxy is large enough for many kinds of civilizations to exist side by side, without the stronger determining the destiny of the less powerful." The council members looked at each other, clearly unsure how to respond to this unexpected appearance. Taewon looked at Yuna and Junho. They all realized the same thing. The humans hadn't just been hiding for 200 years. They had been watching, learning, and preparing for this exact moment. The balance of power in the galaxy had just changed forever. 1 year after humanity's dramatic emergence, the galactic landscape had transformed. The Alliance headquarters now hosted a permanent human embassy, and joint scientific missions were exploring previously uncharted regions of space. Taewon stood on the observation deck of the research vessel New Horizon, a collaborative project between human engineers and Alliance scientists. Earth gleamed below, its surface now revealing the true extent of human achievement. Magnificent cities rising from underground, environmental restoration projects healing the intentionally scarred landscape, and spaceports bustling with activity. "Still, processing it all?" asked a familiar voice. Taewon turned to find Admiral Ji-hyun approaching. Over the past year, they had developed a respectful professional relationship as she helped the Alliance understand humanity's journey. "I've had to rewrite my entire thesis," he admitted with a smile. "The extinct civilization of Earth is now the strategic evolution of human society." Ji-hyun laughed. "We've had to adjust as well. 200 years of preparation, yet we still underestimated how complex galactic politics would be." They gazed out at the stars together. "There's something I've wanted to ask," said Taewon. "Why maintain the illusion for so long? Surely after a century of development you could have revealed yourselves." Ji-hyun's expression grew thoughtful. "Our ancestors made that decision after studying how the Alliance treated the Proxima Centauri civilization, a species at a similar development stage as we were. They were classified as a Category 3 culture and effectively became client states, their development guided toward Alliance standards." She continued, "Our leaders chose a different path. They realized that true independence would only be possible if we emerged as technological equals. The deception bought us time to advance on our own terms, developing technologies that reflected human priorities and values." Taewon nodded slowly. "And the ruins we studied? Carefully maintained facades. Some were actual abandoned structures. Others were constructed specifically to support the narrative of our extinction. We monitored your research teams, adjusting our presentation based on your conclusions." "A 200-year masquerade," marveled Taewon. "The most elaborate anthropological deception in galactic history." Ji-hyun smiled. "We prefer to call it strategic cultural development. Our societies weren't ready to meet as equals before. Now they are." Their conversation was interrupted as Dr. Yuna Park joined them, accompanied by the human scientist Dr. Do-hyun Lee, who had become instrumental in bridging the knowledge gap between species. "The Council has approved the Jupiter Research Station," announced Yuna excitedly. "It will be the largest joint scientific endeavor in Alliance history." Do-hyun nodded. "And the first where all participating species will have equal authority and input." As they discussed the future, Taewon noticed that even Junho had entered the observation deck. The once arrogant Arcturian now worked closely with human scientists, his previous dismissiveness replaced by genuine respect. "A remarkable year," said Junho, joining the group. "I've had to reconsider many of my fundamental assumptions about civilization development." "As have we all," agreed Ji-hyun. "But that's the true nature of science and progress, isn't it? To question, to learn, to grow beyond our preconceptions. Later, as the New Horizon prepared for its first journey beyond Alliance space, a mission that would have been impossible without human propulsion technology, Taiwan reflected on how quickly everything had changed. The humans hadn't just survived, they had thrived in secrecy, watching and waiting for the perfect moment to reveal themselves. In doing so, they had transformed from a subject of study into partners and equals. As the ship's engines hummed to life, powered by technology that had been developed in those underground cities, Taiwan understood the profound lesson humanity had taught the galaxy. Never judge a civilization by its ruins, especially when those ruins might just be a carefully crafted illusion. The stars beckoned, and for the first time, humans and Alliance members would explore them together as equals.